Oluwole Osaze-Uzzi, that's, you know him already, our next voter education. Ms. Uzzi, thank you for joining us today on the verdict. But then give us your impression about what just transpired, because, I mean, both electoral officers, you'd have thought that they would be above board, but there you go, they were susceptible to some external influence. So is this something that the commission, has repeatedly told their members that they must be above board, and particularly given the information about the change of officers in Imo?
That is directed at me, I guess. I didn't hear the intro.
Okay, I'm asking in terms of, did you follow the broadcast in terms of the Ward 9 in Hajegbema that the returning officer just declared those results cancelled? And what's your impression of it?
Yes. Well, there's no impression of it really. Everybody saw what happened, what transpired. There were some alterations to the results. At every collation point, you're supposed to enter the scores and give copies to the accredited agents who are there with you. So obviously it gave to the security agency, the police, and then all accredited agents. And from what I can see, he says that thereafter he discovered some errors. What inspired that, I don't know, but he's made some alterations. Now, if you make some alterations with the intention to mislead, you alter a result, that is an offense under the Electoral Act. But the returning officer and the reg did what was right. On the prompting of the reg, the returning officer looked at it, was not satisfied with his explanation, and said, look, hand you over to the security agent so that they will carry out a thorough investigation. They have the power to investigate, and they will do the investigation. If they found that it was clearly wrong, then they will refer to INEC, and INEC will prosecute if it's an offense under the Electoral Act. But if it's an offense under the criminal code or just general criminal laws, then that prosecution will be undertaken by either the Attorney General or the police, depending.
What do you say to those?
It's
okay, go ahead.
Prima facie, on the face of it, there seems to have been something wrong, some alteration done. That has to be investigated. And probably we'll have to investigate. The investigation will include getting copies from the other agents to see whether the alteration was also done on the other ones. But it's a wrong thing. I think the returning officer and the reg did the right thing.
But what do you say to those who say that this is rare for them? They haven't really seen this happen with INEC officials or returning officers or EOs. And then they suggest that they've seen questions being asked by party agents across board on live TV several times, but in some cases, they don't seem to see a satisfactory response on the part of sometimes the returning officers.
Well, your duty is to ask questions, and then he is to answer to the best of his ability. You don't have to be satisfied or not satisfied. If you're not satisfied with the answer he has given to you, then the law says you go to the tribunal or court to ventilate your grievance if you're not satisfied. Obviously, you ask questions of people all the time, even as a journalist, and you may not always be satisfied with the answers they give to you. But he has to make a valid judgment. He's not there. He listens to you, listens to whatever other person that has something to say, and makes a decision, an administrative decision. But fortunately, his decision is not final. It's final for that process up to that stage for the administrative part of things. But the judicial body, which is a third party and is neutral, will now have to make a decision whether he was right or whether he was wrong.
Mr. Ozzy, the situation that played out in Imo State, very interesting, has been watched all over the world. And we also, could it be likened to, I'm just wondering, could it be likened to, despite the slight differences that we have, to the situation in Bauchi where Tafawa Balewa local government area was not, the results was not announced, and the state of the elections there now is inconclusive? Did the EO, Evans, did she do anything wrong when, according to her, thugs came into the center and made away with some relevant papers. I think it was one of the forms, EC 08, I'm not really sure, but one of the forms, which now compelled her to still collate the results and made same copies available to the agents, which they accepted and signed, and then moved to the Collation Center, where the RO, the returning officer, made that announcement of the stalemate. I'm wondering, did she do anything wrong? And also, the RO himself, did he commit any offense? Because one would have expected that those results, which the EO said were correct, those are the final results and accepted by other parties. Did he do anything wrong in refusing to announce the votes or the results of Tafawa Balewa local government?
Yes, because these are still live issues, I will not want to sit in judgment over who was right or who was wrong, especially as, one, they might be tested in courts or tribunals, and two, I don't have the full facts. So it will be very unfair of me to say, yes, A was right, B was wrong. It will be very, very unfair, and it will be morally wrong and legally wrong for me to do that. But all I can say is that, yes, there are instances where hoodlums, maybe fearing that, politicians fearing that is lost or is losing, will now want to disrupt the process, hoping to have another bite at the cherry. Now, the guidelines are such that, look, where you have destroyed the original result, the officers, INEC officials, have the right, in fact, the duty to try and reconstruct, with the cooperation of stakeholders, reconstruct the result. By reconstruction, I mean, look, the building blocks of every collated result are the EC8As, the result at the polling units. Elections take place at the polling unit. That's where voting takes place. So every other thing is summation, additions, and aggregation of results. So take these results. If you get enough, for example, by law, we give to the police. So we start with the police. Now, the police, do you have your own carbon copies, carbonated? So it's one process you use in doing the thing. Do you have your own copy? Now, this is a copy of the police. We now bring it down. We can't find the original, which should be with us. We put it on the table. Now, party A, party B, party C, we gave you copies. Can you bring them? If they are hiding their copies away, that means they know it's not favorable. But any party that brings this one will now put them on the table and compare what we have in the, especially where there are no obvious alterations. That is why when we say you alter a result, maybe you miscalculate, you draw a thin line so that you can see the original figures and add the new figures, and then the presiding officer or the collation officer countersigns to say, look, I made these alterations based on this or that and things like that. And so if that happens, you can now rebuild and those results from the original results, you now rebuild and recreate a new original acceptable to all parties. There are 5 of us in this room, 5 of us in the election, and 5 of us have copies. If one is the original is lost, we can use the other 4 people's own to reconstruct it and say, this is the thing. And that basically was it. So it's his right to do that. But the returning officer also has a final say on the scores of parties. If he feels he's not satisfied, because that in his own opinion, the story doesn't add up, but it can't be too capricious about it. You can't just, that's why I cannot go to his bedroom and write results and say, I have decided that A scored 10, B scored 20. No. He must listen to everybody he has to listen to and then make a decision. But his decision is final. He is almost supreme up to that point in the process. So those are the division of responsibilities regarding some officials.
All right, so just to recap that the collation going on in Imo State, the returning officer, Francis Otunta, happens to be the Vice Chancellor of Michael Okpara University. He's also a member of the National Mathematical Society. So they've cancelled the results for Ward 9 for Ohaji Egbema local government area as a result of some discrepancies that he noticed, and he went on to explain to the people the votes that need to be subtracted.